Good evening, everybody. Brian Mitchell here. It is 8:25 Eastern, and we will do our first daily recap. So this one might be a little bit rough around the edges. Bear with me. We'll tighten them up as we move along to get to the meat and potatoes of what to expect. So, guys, this is the SPY, the S&P 500 ETF, which represents 500 stocks. The main holdings being NVIDIA at the top. I think they have like a 7.02% allocation in SPY. Next after that is Microsoft and then Apple, which are both very close to like 6.75% allocation in SPY, which we use as leading indicators. If NVIDIA, Apple, or Microsoft dump, same with SPY. And SPY naturally cues QQQ, the NASDAQ will follow. So we were in a range for about 2 weeks in this kind of disgusting kind of range of, every time we got up here, we bounced down, and then, we were stuck in this kind of range. And then earlier this week, we finally got that candle close below this range, which tells me that we were likely to go lower. Why? Many of you guys know that I do post this document several times a day in my chat, and I do reference the Technical Analysis Bible quite often. They're not my rules, they're just rules of technical analysis. One of the rules that we have, I read this document every single day, the longer we range, the harder we break up or down. So when SPY is in a 2-week range, I kind of expected us to drop a little bit more than this, but because we're not dropping as much as I anticipated, it kind of makes me wonder how manipulated this market is, especially because of these wicks also. Now, something to note technical analysis wise, I did expect a little bit bigger of a drop. We could come back up to the bottom lip of this range, get a retest, and it would still be bearish, right? Unless there's going to be some heavy manipulation or some news to push us through, and technicals don't matter when there's news, guys. So keep that in mind. The technicals only work when there is no relative strength, euphoria pushing the market up, or relative weakness, fear pushing the market down. When there's emotion, say goodbye to your technicals. But if technicals do work, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, and then the dump, right? And then maybe a gap fill and then go higher, right? Once gaps fill, price usually reverses Rule 10. Once the gap is filled, there's a good chance price will reverse. So that's a possibility on SPY, something that I am seeing also technical analysis-wise. The more we test the support, the more likely we are to break it. We typically break through on tests 3 to 6 relative to the time frame you're looking at. So let's kind of zoom in now that we know we broke out of a range, and then kind of look at what's going on with SPY today. The 7 candles you see here, these are hourly candles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're going to start looking from this red candle moving forward and see what's going on here. So yesterday, the low was right here. Today, we pretty much respected yesterday's low. And we seem to be kind of around this area, testing. This is test 5 of roughly the 550 level. I don't know if there's a dark pool print there or something, some sort of support at this kind of level, but it is being protected for some reason. But again, the more we test the support, the more likely we are to break it. And if you look at the bodies of the candles, lower high, lower high, lower high, it looks as if we don't get a higher high here, and we can start, forming an uptrend on the higher time frame. This looks like it's going to break, get to the 540, 851 level. Why is that level important? It's an old all-time high. Old all-time highs, above them serve as supports, below them serve as resistances. So if tomorrow we kind of gap down a little bit, just expect a drop and then a pop. So a dump and then pump kind of market is what I'm expecting. Again, considering if there's no news to push us into relative weakness, right? Q, same thing. Q's is tech heavy, which means it has a higher allocation of the tech stocks than SPY does. So when NVIDIA dumps, Q's are likely to fall. But it's the same kind of deal with Q's. We have this old all-time high here, this burgundy color 460.59. Test 4 times over the last 2 days. So it looks like it wants to drop to roughly, I'd say the 455 level and then a pop. So this can be all of tomorrow, right? I wish it would happen in one day. That would be fantastic. But we get these kind of slow, grueling price action. Today from top to bottom, SPY was 0.89%, so not even an entire percent top to bottom, wick to wick. Q's slightly a little bit higher because, again, they are a little bit more tech heavy. And the reason why our NVIDIA flows didn't really pan out in the flows channel, you are attending the flows channel, as Eric pointed out, we did have lower highs, lower highs, lower highs on the higher time frame. Lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. It did appear like it was going for a lower high and then another lower low. The problem with the flows, even though there was 18,000 contracts being bought, that's pretty significant. The strike was 96, right? So they're targeting this daily demand zone, which is plausible, meaning it could potentially happen, but is it possible? Not really in this kind of slow, choppy price action without news. Now, we did have news that I posted in the Flows channel, but it wasn't enough. It seems that the buyers kind of stepped in and they kind of want to keep this AI bubble thingy alive for whatever reason. So, as Carolina Hurricane, one of our members here, pointed out, he's kind of our local news guy. He says that NVIDIA says they have not been served by the DOJ, and I did see that on X, see that on Twitter, my main source of news. It's unvarnished information. I don't have a filter from the mainstream media on that type of stuff, so I get things raw and literally to the second. I'm always refreshing my X feed for crypto news, politics, any type of news. It's a really great place, in my humble opinion, to get news. But I did see this on X, so I do know this to be true. NVIDIA actually did come out and say that they have not been served by the DOJ. So whatever rumors it was, I'm kind of glad we got out of our NVIDIA trade. So I personally don't like swinging things because, again, news can... Whoops, wrong document. News can throw off anything, guys. And this is why I beg people almost every day, please read this document. I will typically, not always, I will typically not swing things in this market because we're in an inflation era. Any little piece of news can, again, throw your technicals out the window. We're not where we were in 2022, 2021, 2020, when swinging things because there was trends was easy peasy, lemon squeezy. We're not there because earnings can throw off the entire market. CPI, PPI, FOMC, GDP numbers, just Jerome Powell speaking. Godzilla wants to roam through town. He's going to wreck a bunch of things. Non-farm payroll, retail sales, bond auctions, consumer confidence report. I think today was JOLTS or something like that. So any one of those things, we're still in a news-based market, guys. So tomorrow I am expecting a little bit of a drop and then hopefully a pop, depending on how fast it is. I don't think there's much news going on tomorrow, so we're just going to have to wait and see. And just play it level by level and not try to predict the market. We're here to buy calls at support, and buy puts at resistance. If a stock's not at either and dancing in between, we don't touch it typically, and we stay disciplined, guys. If you're in a trade without a rhyme or reason, you're gambling, right? So. That's it, guys. Rewatch the beginning of this video to kind of understand, again, SPY, what I'm expecting, and Qs. I'll probably reiterate it a little bit more in the morning, see where the pre-market levels are, and see where the pre-market high and low is. If it is lower, then yes, I'll probably look for a drop and then pop. If it is higher, I'll look for a pump and then dump, just like we did today, because in higher time frames, again, I expect us to touch the bottom of the slip, and so it really just depends if it's a pump and dump day or a dump and then pump day, right? Depending on where we are pre-market, right? So gap up, expect a little bit continuation and then a dump. If we gap down, a little bit of continuation and then a pump at a support level. And that kind of goes back to our rule, again, with gaps, we usually move in the direction of the gap. So if we gap up, again, a little bit of continuation, and then a dump at a resistance level. If we gap down, a little bit of a continuation, we move in the direction of the gap. So if we gap down, we're going to move down and then to a support level and then pump. All right, guys? So, again, follow me here because while Ross is speaking in the morning and his trade with Ross tab, I'm letting you guys know exactly what charts I'm looking at, and Chewy popped exactly like I anticipated. And which one? DKNG popped just like anticipated. You guys have to scroll up and see exactly the charts I posted and look how they ended up in the day. You'll be like, oh, wow, he does drop crazy stuff pre-market. So pre-market, I will let you know what my thoughts are in the morning because they can change. All right. I know this video was a little bit long. I'm going to work on tightening it more and more as we go along. Thank you for your time, guys, and I'll see you guys in the morning.